Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken. Today, guys, we are here to review this found footage movie. I think this is one of the best found footage movies ever made. I think it's up there with Blair Witch, and I think it's up there with Paranormal Activity, but it does not get near the credit. Hopefully it does now, since it got this like really nice Blu-ray box set treatment. But today we're talking about Creep. This is a found footage movie from 2014 that back in 2014, like 2015, I was in kind of limbo with my collecting. Like, I was just coming out of my DVD phase of collecting, getting ready to go into Blu-ray and 4K. I actually sold off all my DVDs back in 2016, was going to go digital. But I was doing a lot of Netflix surfing back in these days. I was staying up late. I was surfing the horror section of Netflix, just trying to find like cool, interesting horror films to watch for the first time. I was finding movies like VHS and VHS 2. That's where I watched those for the first time. Karen Kusama's The Invitation, The Guest. I remember a really cool found footage movie called The Den, which would be cool if they got some kind of like physical release at some point. I don't even know if that has a DVD actually. Just all kinds of really cool movies. But one of those movies was Creep from 2014. And I didn't know this at the time. I actually discovered this by watching the special features. But that was actually a Netflix exclusive. And I knew I watched it on Netflix. I didn't know it was a Netflix exclusive. It was picked up by Netflix from a film festival. So they made this film, premiered it at a film festival, and Netflix bought it. And then they put out Creep 2, I think, in 2017. But I discovered this movie and I just fell in love. Like, I've always loved found footage, like since the beginning. Blair Witch Project, like I love that film. Paranormal Activity, that entire series. But when I discovered Creep, like I was like, this is something different. Like this is something that they're doing that's really cool in the found footage genre that's unlike any of the other ones that I've seen so far. And I'll talk about what makes this one different here in a second. But before we get into it, guys, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Okay, we talk about physical media on this channel, Blu-rays, 4Ks, owning the movies that you love, all that stuff there behind me every single day. If you like that kind of stuff, that kind of content, consider hitting that subscribe button. Also hit the like button. And then comment down below, guys, what's your thoughts on Creep? Did you get this Blu-ray box set from Second Sight Films? Let me know in that comment section below. So yeah, this is a Blu-ray set. This is not a 4K, and I got this freaking card falling over the place. I'm going to put the card to the side. If you guys want to see what's on back of it, I'll show it real quick. I may show it again when we do an unboxing. But the card always gets in the way, okay? It always gets in the way. So we're just going to show it like this. Look at this thing, guys. It is a beautiful box set. We're going to do a full unboxing. We're going to talk about the Blu-ray, the audio, all that good stuff, guys. I love Second Sight Films so much because they are really like tapping in to the 2010s era of horror. And I think that that is an untapped resource. Yes, it's cool to go back and get these cool like 70s, 80s, 90s, horror films, big, nice box sets, all that kind of stuff. But I think that attention, I think that attention is deserved in this era as well. Like, I think the 2010s is like one of the strongest decades for horror films. And I love that Second Sight is just diving headfirst into it, giving us stuff like Green Room, giving us stuff like You're Next, The Witch, It Follows. Like, they're really tapping into this, like, really what I would consider to be an untapped resource at this point. Like, Scream Factory's not doing it. Arrow Video's not really doing it as much. It feels like Second Sight is really like diving into these movies. And there's so many more that I could think of that I would love them to dive into. Like Hereditary is just itching for this treatment, guys. It is just itching for this kind of treatment. But Creep got it, and I'm so happy because this is one of the most underrated found footage movies. Like, there are people that know about it, like deep in the horror world and the horror community. Like, it is a popular found footage movie, but outside of that, like, people don't know this like they should know this film. So I'm happy it's getting this treatment. This is directed by Patrick Brice. It is written by Mark Duplass and Patrick Brice, and they both star in the film together. So this is like a three-man job movie. Like, it's the two actors who also wrote it, directed it, produced it, funded it. There is an editor that they brought in to help them. They did all the work themselves. It's a 70-minute movie, so it's not really like a huge time investment. But what they do with those 70 minutes is really kind of great. And it really, like, they use that 70 minutes to its full potential, because this is a really like complete story with a lot of very interesting twists and turns that you don't see coming. There's still a twist that happens in this that I've seen this movie like 5 times. And when it happens, I'm like, oh, I didn't remember that it happened this way. But the movie itself is just great. And the reason this movie is great, most found footage movies that you watch, okay, they'll have just like regular people you feel like you would encounter on the streets. That's what makes found footage movies feel like immersive and real, is they get people that can't really act all that good. But in Creep, they get a professional actor like Mark Duplass who can handle the material, handle himself, and create one of the most iconic horror characters, horror villains that I've ever seen on film. And it's in this 70-minute found footage horror movie. Mark Duplass as Joseph is just one of the best. Like, one of the best horror performances, in my opinion. He's so inviting. He's so charismatic. He's so, like, energetic. Like, when you first meet him, you're like, oh, this is really awesome guy. Like, I just want to hang out with him. By the time you get to the end of the film, you are terrified of this character. So that turn that he has in the movie, it's all Mark Duplass. Yes, direction, editing, that could be factored in as well. But it's really all Mark Duplass and what he does with his facial expressions, his actions, just some of the things that he says. Like, and some of the stuff is improv, guys. Like, watching the special features, like, they improv some of this stuff. But it's so, like, awkward and uncomfortable. Like, it goes from being, like, you know, kind of fun, you know, with two friends meeting each other, or they're not friends, but like two people meeting each other, becoming buddies for a little bit, like having warm interactions. Then it gets very like awkward for a little bit. Then it gets kind of unsettling. Then it gets kind of disturbing. And then it gets terrifying. So basically what this movie is, you got Mark Duplass and he hires Patrick Bryce to basically videotape him for a day. I'm not going to get into the details of why he wants him to videotape him for the day, but that's the setup. He goes to this like remote cabin to videotape Mark Duplass. And Mark Duplass seems like a really good, like cool guy to hang around for a little bit. And then things just get super awkward and weird. And then it just goes from there. But I love this movie, and I just think it's fantastic. One of the most underrated found footage films. Now, getting into the Blu-ray transfer here, guys. This is for the first time on Blu-ray. I have the DVD. I actually bought this from a Half Price Books, and I heard that this was actually kind of rare. And I bought this for $4. I heard it was going for like 50 or 60. Probably isn't anymore since this was announced. But this is pretty rare right here, this DVD. So I was happy to have this one added to the collection because I just love this movie, and I saw it in stores. It didn't have a Blu-ray, and I'm like, I just want this to add it to the collection. Now, what I will say, I popped in this DVD for a little bit, and found footage movies, look, they don't need 4Ks. I think they need Blu-rays though, for sure, because a lot of them are shot in HD with HD cameras, so you need that upgrade to have that like clearer picture. And this looked great in Blu-ray. It looks okay on DVD, but it's kind of fuzzy and it's just not as clear. You don't have that same level of clarity and detail on the DVD that you have on the Blu-ray. So I think this Blu-ray is a pretty sizable upgrade over that DVD. Now, it is, like I said, a found footage movie. It's got jerky, jostling cameras around like that, but there are some up close, like facial shots, zoom in, so you do get that higher level of detail here with the Blu-ray. So I do think the Blu-ray was warranted, and I am glad we finally got one. Now, getting into the audio, you have the DTS HD Master Audio Stereo 2.0, and look, it's a found footage horror movie. Like, you're not going to have the best audio anyway because they want to make it feel like you're watching a videotape or recording, but everything sounded good. Perfect audio quality for what this movie is, so no issues with that. Now let's get into the packaging, guys. Let's dive into this bad boy. Second Sight Films box set release, which they always do a spectacular job on their box sets, guys. Now, if I'm being completely honest, the axe is iconic for Creep. It is, and I like that they have Peach Fuzz, which when you watch this movie, guys, you'll get to know Peach Fuzz. I like how they have the wolf and the axe. I think that's cool. But to be completely honest, like, I would have loved a just full image of Peach Fuzz on the cover. Like, I just would. But the axe is cool as well. You flip it on the back and you have the heart locket, which is great. That is definitely very significant to the film. You take it out of the packaging. And I'll show the back again right here, guys, with the special features and everything, which we'll dive into in a second. You got the Blu-ray case right here. And the interesting thing about Second Sight is when they do a Blu-ray box set edition, they actually put a Blu-ray case on the inside, which I know is a lot of people's gripes when it comes to their 4Ks, because with their 4Ks, they usually have like a little digipack that's inside. So I don't know why they do something different with the Blu-rays than the 4Ks, but they do. You open this up, you got some disc art, you got Mark Duplass swimming in the bathtub. Tubby time, guys, tubby time. Oh my God, there's so many great moments in this movie. You got a nice sizable booklet with some writings on the film on the inside. Some interesting tidbits on the making of this movie. And then you got your art cards right here, guys. Your lobby cards, whatever you want to call them. That is a great image right there, guys. That's iconic. You got Patrick Bryce freaking out. Mark Duplass. Water. Axe. Peach Fuzz. Just some great stuff, guys. Like, I just love this movie so much. This is such a great movie. Like, even rewatch. I actually watched this on Christmas Eve. Watched this on Christmas Eve. But I just love this movie. Oh, my goodness. It's so good. But let me put this back in the packaging, and then we'll get into the special features. So you got some good features on here, guys. It's not like the most in-depth special features that Second Sight has ever done. But this movie, to be honest, it's a 10-year-old movie, and it was made by essentially 2 people. So you don't have a lot of people that were involved in the making of this movie to be able to talk about it and to do all kinds of different special features. But you do have a new audio commentary here with director Patrick Bryce, editor Christopher Donnellan, and actor Mark Duplass. So that's a new audio commentary. You also have the past audio commentary that was on this DVD edition right here. With Patrick Bryce and Mark Duplass. You have Peach Fuzz, a new interview with Patrick Bryce, which is about 30 minutes long. And you also have Into Darker Territory, a new interview with Mark Duplass, which is about 20 minutes long. The only thing I'll say, and this isn't like really a negative because it's interesting hearing it from both of their perspectives, but they're kind of both like echoing the same stories, it feels like. So Patrick Bryce, I watched his interview, and then I watched Mark Duplass. And they're really kind of like talking about the same kind of stuff just from their perspective. And they're both like bringing up the fact that like they didn't even really want this to be a horror film. It's just they brought it to Jason Blum, which I didn't even bring that up, but it is a Blumhouse film technically as well. That is also a Netflix film because they brought it to him and then they brought it to Netflix. But they brought it to Jason Blum, and he's like, you know, you could turn this into a horror film if you just tweak it a little bit, because they originally wrote it to just be like an awkward kind of dark comedy. And then they just kind of turned it into a horror film after people started watching it and started to get tested. So that is an interesting story. It's just that they both are kind of saying essentially the same kind of stuff. You just get their different like perspectives of it. And then you have Expand the Universe, a new interview with Christopher Donnellan, which is the editor of the movie, which is a pretty good interview with him. He kind of has a different viewpoint, just kind of like coming in after the idea. They had come up with the idea and everything. So that's a good interview from his perspective. And then you got 10 Years of Creep, a live Q&A with the cast and crew, which is pretty much everybody. You got Patrick Bryce on a big screen, and it's about 30 minutes long, and they're screening the films for an audience and just kind of taking questions and talking about the movie and all that kind of stuff. It's a good feature as well. You got deleted scenes. You got deleted scene, the cold open of the film. You also have an alternative scene, a message to Aaron, and then you have alternative endings, which there are different endings to this film as well. So yeah, some of this stuff is, I'm trying to see, yeah, some of this stuff is on the DVD as well, like the alternate endings and the opening and all that kind of stuff. It's on the DVD. But you do have 3 new interviews. You have that Q&A. So it really is it's about an hour and a half, I'd say, of new special features for this release right here. So a good amount of special features, just not the most that Second Sight has ever done. But still a really solid collection of features as well for a really solid release by Second Sight Films. I'm just happy to have this film in the collection and a good quality release from Second Sight Films. Like, I love this movie, and I'm so happy that it got this level of treatment. So thank you all so much for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on those bell notifications for all future videos, and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are down below in the description, and we'll see you next time.